All right, guys, welcome back. Chief Kirk for Kravology. It's 2021, and I've made a decision this year. I've struggled with this for several years. I see the most unsafe / ridiculous defenses that are being made on YouTube and other places that are being held up as Krav Maga. And I don't want to use things, like ridiculous or crap or anything. I just want to say this. We're going to break down these techniques for you without calling people out. They'll know who they are. And then we're going to tell you why what you're seeing is unsafe, and we're going to tell you how to fix it. We're going to do this once a month, starting right now. All right, as you can see, I brought James in with me today. We're going to talk about this defense I saw that was it's terrible, it's dangerous. Oh, I didn't mean to say terrible. No. I want to be very precise with my language. It's a dangerous defense. It's not well thought out. It doesn't reflect the knowledge base that Krav Maga has to work with to make people safe. So what we're showing is a long gun from behind to the back, and the first movement that the person that made the defense shows is his hands going up, okay? There's several problems with this. The first one is when you put your hands up, you widen your field of view. So instead of being this wide, shoulder to shoulder, you're as wide as the pinky from each side, left to right, right to left. As you move into a defensive position, right? So from this position, the gunman sees this movement. And the gunman sees that movement with his peripheral vision, with the rods in his eyes, not the cones. And the rods send the information to the gunman's brain faster through the eyes that you're moving in a way that's counterproductive for his ends, for his goals. In other words, when you put your hands like this and rotate, you're telegraphing badly. It's unsafe. That's the word, unsafe, right? Thanks. So the second problem with this is if someone puts if someone puts the long gun to my back, and the first thing they say is, don't move.
Don't move. Okay.
This seems like a bad idea, right? So since I don't walk around like this, except on Sundays, right? No. I don't walk, no one else does. My hands are basically down. When the gunman puts the gun to my back, I look over my shoulder because I'm curious about what the hell's back there. That's a natural response. Now all I have to do is rotate this way, okay? Once I've rotated this way, I'm way off the line of fire. My arm has to be under the gun if I can at all make that possible, all right? Then I'll go in and make the defense. But let me digress for a second. When my hands are up like this, my rotation is much larger. He sees it. It's a bad idea. Still a bad idea. And then when I come in, I get on the gun like this. This is fine if I can crowd in this way. In this moment, this is not optimal because the gunman can take the muzzle down and around and make weapon retention, right? I'm worried about weapon retention here. So there's a much safer way to do this. It's to be more narrow. So I'm in this position. I look, I snap, right? We call this at the school constant directional pressure. So once I snap, my foot follows the gun in with my shoulder. I collapse in this way, okay? Constant directional pressure ensures that the gun's not being taken down and around. As I get to this position, my hand reaches out, right? It's reaching. And I come up over the gun. So now my elbow is in the way of the gun. This hand can come here, right? Now I can make a switch step if I want to, and I'm going to have much more power by bringing my elbow up through my shoulder this way. Then I can slide, make the strikes, and take the gun. So my goal today isn't necessarily to teach you how to do this technique, because we could spend an hour on the various facets of this technique. My goal was to show you why this is very unsafe. And why, when you get to the gun, running this way, on top, it's suboptimal. I'm not saying that you're always going to be under the gun. I'm saying if you have an opportunity to be under the gun and to work the shoulder back to the top of the gun with your hand, it's much better. But fundamentally, no matter what you're doing, when someone puts a gun or an object at your back, the safest and most productive thing you can do is look over your right shoulder to see what it is. We could talk for a half an hour about how to open your shoulder and how not to open your shoulder. That's not the issue. Don't do this. It's unsafe. It's suboptimal. And it's silly because sometimes the gunman says, don't move. So why would you, if I feel the gun on my back and he says, don't move, I've already taken a look. If he says, don't move, why would you do this? It doesn't make sense. Don't do this foolishness. All right, come back next week. We're going to cover the principles of Krav Maga, specifically talking about control and finish and focusing on finish and talk you through what to do when unexpected things evolve as a result of the dance of violence, right? So think about the principles, and we'll talk more about it next week, but we're going to go from prescriptive to highly recommended all the way to organic. Not enough training's done in the organic side of the principles. We're going to cover it next week. You're going to like it. Come back and see me. Happy 2021.